All right, I'm going to start here in Fayetteville first. Arkansas coming off that disaster of a performance, 37-0 loss against Georgia. No need to rehash that one. And now you got to face Matt Corral and this Lane Kiffin offense. One you mastered last season. Corral threw 6 interceptions. Cannot speak Matt Corral's name without a dozen Arkansas fans jumping on what a trash quarterback he is. I tell you, he's not trash, Ed. Hey, you can keep saying it, but you're probably going to find something out different on Saturday when the game comes around, because I think Lane Kiffin and company, it's almost like we saw last week. They tore Alabama a new one, right? And now Arkansas sitting here saying, well, now we're going to tear Ole Miss a new one like we did last year. Teams adjust, teams learn, teams get motivated. So, there's a huge question mark really for both these teams heading into this matchup. How will they respond? Both these teams got their teeth kicked in against superior competition. You still got everything in front of you. Here's an opportunity to get that ball rolling in the right direction. But it's also a matchup I think is winnable, very winnable for both teams. Make no mistake. It's going to come down to the team that responds and the team that forces the other into mistakes. And I also think that if you lose this game for either one of them, you can still have a big season, but your West chances are probably gone because you can't fall that far behind Alabama. And hell, Ole Miss already in the hole to them. Arkansas's not. As crazy as it may sound, Arkansas, who knows? If they play their A game, maybe they beat Alabama. They can win the West, but it's not going to happen if you lose Saturday at Ole Miss. So there's a lot to like about the Arkansas Razorbacks, I think, in this matchup, provided they do respond. We just saw that, the game plan for Alabama was essentially pound that rock. And who leads the SEC in most rushing attempts? It's them Arkansas Razorbacks. Behind KJ Jefferson and I don't even know if it's fair to call it a trio. They have 4 good running backs there in Fayetteville. So I think the game plan on offense is going to be pound that rock, limit Ole Miss's possessions, and that'll be key to the game because I really do think after throwing his 6 interceptions, Matt Corral, you got to hope that maybe he forces the issue like he did last season. If you recall, that was one where there was just a ton of wind and it was nasty out. And hey, go back and play the episode. I remember Shane was laughing at me when I said that, but it resulted in the multiple interceptions we saw from old Matt Corral. So I really do think that played a factor. That's unlikely to once again be the case here this Saturday when Ole Miss and Arkansas go head to head. So I think you may have to win a high scoring type game. You certainly don't want to get a shootout with Matt Corral because if they're firing at all cylinders, that's going to be tough. But that's why you got to take the air out of the ball and pound that rock. And it certainly looks like Ole Miss's defense is not necessarily capable of stopping it. So this is the game of the week. I really do think Ole Miss and Arkansas, 2 of the better teams, not only in the SEC, but in the country. And I'll tell you what, if you don't got respect for Matt Corral, you are on an island there because old Sam Pittman has got him respect for Matt Corral and what that quarterback's capable of doing. So let's kick it over to Sam Pittman, who talks about that. And kind of the highlight of the day here on the coach comments. Coach Pittman on Arkansas's response to losing to Georgia. And he says, we're going to make damn sure that that Georgia game does not cost us this one as well.
Each and every game, but he'll probably have a little bit more on this one because of last year.
Yeah, I was thinking that's going to be a really cool chess match is that you defended them so well. So, what the countermeasures are and what you guys come back with to try to contain their attack because you did so well last year.
Yeah, well, we'll certainly have some different things that we'll do this year than what we did last year. We've got that in the plan, and we'll see how it looks today at practice. But we can't do identically what we did last year because if we do, he'll pick us apart. So we'll certainly put some wrinkles in there on defense.
Coach, you mentioned not being ready for the early start last week. You have to do that again. So what do you do differently in practice this week to overcome that?
I didn't hear the first part of it.
Not being ready for the early start last week.
Well, I think that's 100% correct. I think Georgia had a lot to do with that. I don't know exactly, except learn from last week. I don't know that we can do a whole lot about when we have pregame. I don't know that we can practice at 11. We did in the fall. I think it'll just be try to get a different mindset going in there. In all honesty, I think everybody saw we just weren't ready for the grand stage yet, and that's all of us. And this is going to be a big stage because it's ESPN and all those things. But, the college game day atmosphere, the 93,000, there was a lot of kids after the game, after I spoke with them, said it's the loudest crowd. They haven't ever been in anything like that before. And we tried to simulate it in practice and obviously didn't have it turned up loud enough. But I think just try to learn from this experience that we just went through and try to learn from that. And I don't know that we'll have any different wake up or anything like that. I know I heard that Kirby played, I don't know if it's true, but I heard he played music in the locker room and things of that nature. We were trying to just go with status quo because we had practiced it for a week in fall camp. And obviously we all saw that, we didn't do it the right way. So we're still thinking about what we might do on Saturday to change that up.
We talked a little bit right after the game about regrouping and not letting the game beat you twice and stuff. I was just wondering, and I know you hadn't practiced yet, but I was wondering if there was any specific incidences with the leaders or, the older players on this team where they have, said something to make sure that message has gotten across, I guess, internal leadership. I guess.
I wouldn't know if they did, to be honest with you. I think we've all, in one realm or another, we've gotten the heck kicked out of us at some point in our life, whether it be at home, whether it be physically, whatever it is. And the only way I know how to do it is you get up and you brush the dirt off, you brush whatever it is, and you go back to work. If we do a tremendous amount of difference in what we've done before, look, we've been underdogs in 14 of our 16 games, including Saturday. We've never been favored to win an SEC game. We're doing things right. We just got to do them better. And so if I make a mountain out of a molehill because we went and got kicked, we got to correct the situation. We got to do better. We got to cut the penalties out. We've got to do better. And we got to coach better. But if I go totally off and start having meetings with the players and all this stuff, I think I'm sending a message that I'm panicking, and I'm not, because we got a good football team and we got our butt kicked by a really good football team, and we don't like it and we're not accepting it. But I'll be damned if Georgia's going to make us lose this Ole Miss game.
All right, so it's one thing to make these bold comments and say it's another thing you got to put it in practice. But given everything we've seen from Sam Pittman, he's a man of his word, and they'll be working on this all week to respond. But talk is cheap. They got to go out there and do it. And, are they in Ole Miss's head a little bit? Maybe. But